In a world long forgotten before thunderous footsteps shook the ground and before scaled titans claimed the continents, Earth was ruled by creatures few would recognize today. More than 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, the planet was warm, humid, and saturated with oxygen. The air itself was richer, heavier, fueling life forms that grow to astonishing proportions. Across the continents stretched immense swamp forests, dense and shadowed, filled with towering club moss trees, giant ferns, and thick tangles of vegetation rooted in shallow water and black mud. It was a landscape both alien and vibrant, where the ground pulsed with life. In this primeval world, arthropods rose to unimaginable size. Among them lived Arthropleura, the largest land invertebrate to ever exist. Arthropleura resembled a colossal millipede, stretching more than 8 feet long. Its elongated body was divided into dozens of armored segments, each covered by overlapping plates that formed a flexible yet formidable shield. The exoskeleton provided protection, while still allowing movement across uneven terrain. Beneath its body, rows of jointed legs moved in synchronized, rippling waves, carrying the giant arthropod steadily across the swampy forest floor. Despite its imposing appearance, Arthropleura was not a hunter. It fed on decaying plant matter, fallen leaves, rotting wood, and organic debris that accumulated in the dense Carboniferous forests. The swamp ecosystem produced vast quantities of vegetation, much of which fell and decayed in the humid environment. Arthropleura played a crucial ecological role, breaking down this material and recycling nutrients back into the soil. In doing so, it helped sustain the very forests that surrounded it. The world around Arthropleura teemed with other giants. Enormous dragonflies with wingspans exceeding 2 feet patrolled the air. Massive cockroach-like insects crawled along bark and leaf litter. Early amphibians lurked near the edges of shallow pools, their forms half hidden in the mist. Primitive reptiles had only just begun to appear, small, agile creatures exploring a land still dominated by amphibians and arthropods. Yet none were large enough to challenge the armored giant moving methodically through the undergrowth. As Arthropleura crossed muddy ground and shallow water, it left behind broad, distinctive trackways. Some of these tracks would eventually fossilize, preserved for hundreds of millions of years. They reveal that, when necessary, Arthropleura could move more quickly than its size might suggest. But speed was rarely its primary defense. Endurance, size, and armor were its greatest strengths. When threatened, Arthropleura likely relied on its rigid exoskeleton and sheer bulk. Its overlapping plates made it difficult for potential attackers to penetrate, and its immense size alone would have discouraged confrontation. There is no evidence that it hunted or engaged in combat. Survival came not from aggression, but from being too large and too well protected to challenge easily. Yet even giants are not immune to change. Over time, Earth's climate shifted. The extensive swamp forests that had once blanketed the continents began to recede. Oxygen levels gradually declined, wetlands dried, and vast stretches of lush vegetation disappeared. The delicate balance that had allowed arthropods to grow to such enormous sizes was disrupted. Without its high oxygen environment and endless supply of decaying plant matter, Arthropleura could no longer thrive. As the Carboniferous gave way to the Permian, ecosystems reorganized. Forests thinned, new plant groups emerged, and vertebrates began to diversify. The age of giant arthropods quietly faded, replaced by a world increasingly dominated by reptiles better suited to drier conditions. Arthropleura disappeared from the fossil record, leaving behind only scattered remains and immense trackways pressed into ancient mud. Today, those fossilized tracks serve as silent testimony to a time when the land itself seemed alive with armor and legs. They remind us that long before dinosaurs captured our imagination, another dynasty held sway. One built not on claws and teeth, but on exoskeleton, oxygen, and the relentless recycling of a swamp-drenched world.